All right, it's Friday night and we're here with Katrina, of course. How's Vegas on Friday night tonight?
All right, the night's just getting started.
I'm sure it is. That's right, it's only 7:30. All right,
Yeah.
so I was out playing ice hockey with my kid. I'm getting old. All the kids, it was like a 10 and under kids were playing today, and some of them were really good. They looked like 7-year-old kids that were hitting me in the face with the puck. I got hit in the cage, but it's fine. It's wearing a cage. Anyway,
Oh,
point is, I'm tired. I'm so the kids, they all wanted to keep skating forever. It was like 2 hours of ice. So that was a good time, but I'm back looking at baseball. I sold some algorithms today. I've gotten good comments from people. And I wanted to do some work on it. And of course, I'm so alone that I figured I'd call you and do some work because you've been witnessing some of this. So
yeah.
did you bet today? You said you bet on the Yankees heavily, which got rained out, but what else did you bet?
I did pretty much the usual. Do the big parlay. I had 8 teams because you had a lot of teams that were above 10% margin today.
Yeah.
So try that 8 team. Yankees were on there. I did the sixes for that.
Oh,
National. Yeah.
yeah, that's greedy. Just
Is it?
sixes, sevens, and eights only on an 8-team round robin. So you have to get at least six to get paid anything.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
I just did sixes.
what's that?
So I just did sixes. So
Yeah. That means you got to go 6-2 or better to get paid. That happens, but that's not that easy.
yeah.
But I know it's limited bets that way. Anyway, yeah. So because you're not going to hit it if you had St. Louis. Minnesota's still going on right now. But
Yeah.
Washington lost and St. Louis lost, close one. But well, is that all you bet, or did you bet anything else?
Um, there was some like preset parlays that I bet. A couple with Washington on there, obviously. So there's or not obvious, but you know that was
Mhm.
lost. And there was one set parlay that was Houston, Minnesota, San Francisco. So San Francisco's starting, I think.
Minnesota's still losing right now.
Yeah,
2-1. Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then I did the overs. I don't know. I might be. I've seen your overs, like team over, not team totals, but your overs for the games.
Mm-hmm.
What do you call game overs?
Alternate total runs.
Yes, total. Yes,
Yeah, you can get really good lines on those.
right.
And today it's funny because it was the game that I said, look at Milwaukee only projected to have 4 runs. They have 18 runs right now. They're winning 18-2. So I have this way of cursing or anti-cursing things whenever I like some reason, whenever I specialize on something or I talk trash about a specific player or something, it's almost like the crazy opposite happens. And this is one of them. I was like, because the algorithm was like Milwaukee was like the 5th pick of the day with a 16% margin. And I'm like, don't take their over and runs. I'm like, it only says 4. That's because my projected score calculation is actually independent from the margin in most ways. And what I mean by that is I was looking at this today and I was like, you know what? Something's going on in our projections today, because sometimes we have really stark disagreements between the projected score and the margin. One example of that game is the Toronto Tampa Bay game, where the projected score said that Tampa Bay was going to win, but the margin said that Toronto was going to win. So these kind of things, when they happen and they're like a run off or something, that means that either the formula, this complicated formula that's in here that's projecting the score, either that needs to be audited, okay, to get that thing more in line with the margin, or what I think is going on, which is the margins distribution is funky, and it's too funky for what the projected scores are going to be. And so it's kind of like, we got to figure out why that is. And I was going to do a little work on this tonight to try to rearrange the results as the results come in. I want to talk about why I'm doing this, but I want things to be in alignment, because if either the projected score is being more accurate or the margin is being more accurate, then one of them's got to change to chase the one that's being more accurate. So in this game, the Tampa Bay Toronto game that already happened today. Toronto crushed it. The projected score said that they would not crush it. The margin said they would barely win. Looking at everything, it makes me want to add more lineup factor and also do some adjustments to lineup factor. Actually, more pitcher win percentage. Bring whip down again. Now I'm just starting to go nuts. This is bringing the score closer and bringing the margin up a little bit. So this is working what I'm doing. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but let's not care about pitcher ERA as much this way. All right, so I'll quit talking out loud and I'll get to work on this. Oh yeah, that's the other thing is average runs per game and allowed actually were a little more helpful today. Yeah, see, this is getting better already. So, all right, point of all this is these percentages up top are everything when it comes to what's going on. And really, they should be almost independent for each one of these games, to be honest, because each one of these games can lack certain stats. And there's certain things that, as I'm thinking about optimizing this,
Right.
makes me want to program more. But I also need to do other, I want to do other stuff. I want to do like molecular biology programming, and there's going to be a football season coming up, and like doing baseball all the time is too much because I don't really care about baseball that much at all. It's the problem. Point is, so it just made me realize that this needs constant work, and that's kind of why I want to put it out for people and have you guys work with it yourself so that I'm not so responsible. But I don't know, it's not working out. People just want me to do everything every day. So anyway, we'll talk about the games that are going on. If you have any money still in your account, which I guess you still probably have some, hopefully.
Yeah.
So there are games going on right now that are started about half an hour ago. And according to this new distribution now what I was just doing on the screen that you can't see is I'm changing the scores and the projections around, and things are getting reshuffled a little bit. And what it's saying is that the Dodgers are apparently supposed to crush Blake Snell in San Diego. I wonder if they are right now. Let me look at what's happened in the first half hour of that game real quick. The score of that game is 1-0 Dodgers at the end of 2. So you're losing your ability to bet that game, and they're home. Other games, 0-0 Oakland and Seattle. What do you do here? Everything about Seattle is supposed to be big. They're only -180. If Oakland gets out and gets a run or something, good idea to bet Seattle. So that's something to watch out for tonight. White Sox in San Francisco is the other game. It's 0-0 in the second. It has this as a high scoring game because look at the crazy ERA. So an alternate over in that White Sox San Francisco game is something to chase tonight as well. So you could probably get a line like, if you look at what the Google sheet says for that game, the wind, I haven't checked the lineup it said 13 mile per hour out. That's a good idea to review whether or not that's still the wind situation there. Because if it is, then this game can get up to 13 runs, right? If you look at what an over 12.5 is in a game like that, especially now, or over 11.5 even at this point in the game, because it's already in the second inning, I believe. That's gonna pay amazing. And it says they get there. So I would look at the wind. I'm gonna check it on my phone real quick. It's just easier. But that's the kind of thing that the algorithm is pointing out to do. So look for Oakland to try to score and bet Seattle, and then bet the over in the San Francisco game. And you don't have to bet over 11.5. As a matter of fact, you can just look around at what the lines are, but it's saying that the bare minimum of this game was still barely over 10 runs. So over 9.5 is actually probably even a really good line right now. So that's what I'd recommend based on what's left and what's going on. I would also bet on Minnesota very, very late at really, really great odds right now in the 9th inning to try to win that game, because I think it's going into the bottom of the 9th. Double checking weather for that game real quick. MLB for the San Francisco game. It says that Says that game is, here we go. We'll get there in a second. Says that it went down to 10-mile-per-hour out and it's 54 miles an hour. 54 degrees, sorry. And I guess no rain. Yeah, no rain. So it still doesn't move. It's still 7-6. So yeah, I mean that's what it would say to do tonight. Would be that. Other than that, I think some things that that look kind of interesting are the fact that Atlanta put up 9 runs. We said they were going to win 8-1. They were like the one or two pick early in the morning. I sent it out. That's great. I mean, anything you bet with Atlanta, overruns, -1.5, -2.5 to win anything, it all won on that game. The Dodger game, they're up 1-0 right now, actually. So they are winning. We'll see if they win. But that would clean those two. Minnesota, you really need them to come back, and you need to have Seattle win. If that happens, then actually, I'm looking at the day. Really, we're kind of, let's assume Seattle wins, and I don't know what to do with the White Sox game yet. But if that happens, you could potentially still go like the teams that were over 10% margin, except for poor Washington. You go 4-2, Minnesota comes back, you go 5-1, and then you win with the Mets, and Toronto gets moved up there under this distribution. So the question is, why was Washington favored? And I want to get into that. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I'm going to let you speak and do something eventually here, but I don't think Washington's a very good team. And whenever I'm righter than the algorithm, I start to get worried about what's going on. Because I was like, I don't understand why Washington's favored against Miami, a team that's not playing all that bad. And it was because of Trevor Rogers' ERA. So Trevor Rogers had a rough go of it, and it was tough to get Washington not to be favored in this game because of Rogers' bad stats. And the lineup factor for Miami apparently not being what it should be. So maybe we need to do work on lineup, but their bullpen ERA is better, and their runs per game are better, and their runs against are better. And that's what made me want to add some more of these stats back in here, because it would at least change margins slightly, and it would make Washington less of a favorite, and it would make this closer. And it made me not want to weight pitcher ERA as much and not want to weight whip as much. And all of a sudden, as I'm typing this in, I now brought Washington's margin down to a 13% by making some slight changes. And I did some adjustments here, but it also did some things like bringing Boston up here as well, which is not right. And Boston lost a close one to the Cubs. So you have to watch like what you're doing and what impacts what and how you get your runs correct by really messing with this. And so I'm torn, as I'm torn with a lot of things, which is how much effort do I just go down this rabbit hole like forever and just keep trying to make this thing better? Some people I think really can take this and do that. I don't want to do it with baseball every day, but at the same time, I'm doing videos about baseball every day. So I'm going to tell everybody, like, I am getting the subscribers, I'm getting the sales, and I'm getting the watch hours I need doing sports like this. So there's a benefit to that in YouTube, but I also just don't want to do baseball all day. What should I do, Katrina? Give me some therapy here.
I think there definitely have been days where your algorithm has done really well, right? So there's merit to it for sure. As far as what you were talking about there, let's see, that would be, that's where I kind of like, I don't know, like, is there like a formula like that you could just set for each one of these where whatever other variables for each of the games that you need to consider and program into your algorithm, like, I mean, isn't that something that can be programmed?
Yeah, so for football, I had my buddy Wolfie do some programming work to write a macro that figures out what the best distribution of percentages are for the football algorithm. In order to do that for this baseball one, it could be done, It takes like hours to run the way we did it. Like one time it was set and it would run for like 6 hours in order to get done because there's so many different combinations it's running and it's a big long processing thing. Could be done. It could be done. It just takes work and also like, when you do that, if you really want to optimize that, you got to run it frequently. So it'd be like, I'd be doing a full-time job of running that and updating that. And I don't know if that's worth it, but I also, what is worth it is to have Wolfie build that application. I've actually mentioned about raising funds to do that because I will pay him to do that for something like this. Because it's going to take, well, basically what it does is it runs every combination of percentages up here for all these variables by like 5% intervals, so that everything's like a rounded 5, and it runs like thousands of combinations. And then as it runs each combination, it records what the results, what kind of prediction it made and what the result was. And it logs a history or like a success rate of its prediction. And it runs through these thousands of calculations to do it. It's a lot of work. I mean, is it really worth it? Like, this is pretty good already. I don't know. Like, you can test it by hand and I don't have to write all the programs. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So the answer to your question is yes, you could do that, but it takes more work. And then even monitoring that and making that better also takes more work. So it's like, I feel like I'm taking on more work. And it would be worth it if you could program this and make hundreds of thousands of dollars in a month by just betting some system or something out of it, which I don't think is really possible unless you're wagering hundreds of thousands of dollars. But I think you can win on small margins over long periods of time, just making good decisions like this. But you can't, nothing ever works all the time, and it needs maintenance, monitoring.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. I'm balancing it, like, whatever, I'm balancing it. Get done.
Yeah.
So
right.
Yeah.
Without doing all that, I don't know, is there any way I mean, all your pretty high margin games today are doing pretty well, the Braves, Atlanta, that PS4 was, pretty exact. And at the 32% margin.
Minnesota has a guy on and nobody out in the ninth against the Orioles. Well, there's somebody pitching that game right now. I want to show you something fun we can do. Person pitching is Jorge Lopez. He's got a 0.7. Wow. Jorge Lopez is pitching. Let's see if, I know I have to do a couple different things, but I'm going to try it really quick just to see what kind of pitcher he is. So that Baltimore game, it's right here. Jorge Lopez. Yup, we did get an ERA for him. 7, but that's only because he has no, I'm just doing one thing real quick. And I go back to the pivot. I go to the lineup. I got to get a Baltimore's pitcher. And change him to Jorge Lopez as well. This should work. That gives him a lineup right here. So Baltimore still loses this game with Jorge Lopez pitching, even though his stats are great. They lose at 4-3. So it's just kind of fun to look at what the comparison. Yet this game is a less than 10% margin. But even though he's only coming in to pitch the last inning, I just like to throw it in there because you can actually do that and simulate whatever pitcher is in and what the final score of the game would be and look at what's happening. Because it was a much different game before that. Minnesota really was supposed to crush that. For some reason, they didn't hit Spencer Watkins today, the guy that was pitching for Baltimore. So we'll see if they can pull one off in the ninth to beat a team that has a history of blowing games in the Orioles. We'll see. What else? I don't know, is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, I was just trying to see if there's a way to kind of generalize with how your algorithm is right now, and just be like, I don't know if there's a trend or something, but I can't.
This is statistics and regression. So what regression testing is, or basically, or part of it is it's retrofitting results on a graph, right? Like it's trying to find what those trends are that you were just saying, and which one of these variables is good at dictating what those trends are. And so I've been messing with this for years with different sports. And I know that different points in the season, you want to use certain stats more than at other parts of the season. So like the beginning of the year, it's terrible. I can't get rid of the stupid screen sharing thing, which I think is showing up. Move, yeah, get out of here. So the this pitcher win percentage, for example, is terrible to use early in the year because the pitchers don't have any starts yet. They got like 3 starts. So their win percentage is always either, 50%, 75% or 0 or something. It's like, it's never going to be a reasonable number for enough starts. So you have to really lower this until you get later in the year, and you have to mix these numbers around at different points in the year to get optimal outcomes, which is why that program that Wolfie can build could be so valuable. But I mean, we got to talk about, I need like thousands of dollars a month from people to kind of put that kind of real work effort into this, where like it's an actual job and you're monitoring it all day. And some people do that, but I also don't want to do that. Like, that's why I said therapy. Like, I don't really want to do this. I built this from my grandpa who's dead, right? Like, it just lasted because there are other people like my grandpa that are not dead that remember when I was doing this. And they're like, hey, you doing it again this year? And I'm like, well, it's the whole summer. It's every day. So I guess why not? Like, I don't really want to do this. It's weird. I can't ever say no to stuff that's just numbers. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. You sound
How
tired.
is it? How is it doing so well? Like, like for like 4 days in a row, like just a week ago or something. It's just the success rate. I feel like it's worth it.
Oh yeah, no, people make money. I have the same people for years that are making money and saying that I put them through college as well with like stuff. So I don't know why I don't turn it into a ton of money. Something wrong. Like I like just messing with it and seeing crazy stuff that might happen. I can't sit down and be like, oh, these 2 huge premium games up at the top with 30% margins. I should have bet a bundle on Atlanta minus 2.5, right? I should have bet like $3,000 on it. And I would have won 8 grand, 10 grand, whatever. I think some people are doing that. And they're also doing it with St. Louis, so they're not making on every one. But if you take Atlanta minus 2.5 in a game where the algorithm said that they were going to win, the algorithm said straight up without any win, they were going to win 8-0.3. They won 9-1. That's disgusting when that happens. And it's like, wow. So you can take Atlanta as much as I believe minus 3.5 or something at like plus 350 or something like that, probably 300, whatever. So you could have done that with thousands of dollars. And if you do that every day, the algorithm's usually good. Now, the algorithm's #1 pick doesn't win every day. Yesterday, we got destroyed. Yesterday was a 3 and 5 day. Murdered yesterday. Terrible. Only 8 games. But the day before, the top 3 crushed it. So it was like, all right, well, and they all covered, so you took them all minus 1.5, top 3, Yankees, Dodgers, Atlanta all win or whatever. Anyway, so it's not an everyday thing, and I don't have the stomach for betting a ton of money every night. Like I'm never going to want to do that. I like watch it like this, but I can't like not make it better when people are like, yeah, you should do this. I'm like, that's a lot of work, but you're right. I don't know. Anyway. So yeah, so get ready for football. Football will be more fun. It's like 2 times a week instead. And it's fun. It's fun because there's just enough football every day for just enough of what you do. Like they do Thursday, which nobody cares about and sucks. And the algorithm's terrible at predicting Thursday nights. And then it does Sunday, which is awesome because it's all day football. And then it does Monday, which is 1 or 2 games on Monday. And then you're good. So it's like, it's enough gambling and not too much. I like that about football. I think that's why everybody likes it actually. Because football is the biggest sport and it draws the most views. It is the most fun to watch. It's even more fun to watch than hockey, in my opinion, as a gambler. Hockey's more fun to watch as a fan, but football is more fun to watch as a bettor, in my opinion. Yeah, because it's all about field goals at the end, It's like, oh, am I going to hit this with this 50-yard field goal or not? Something like that. Like it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to imagine yourself playing the game rather than like in hockey.
Oh, Minnesota won. 3-2.
Did they?
They won.
Woohoo.
Boo ha ha. How about that? So what does that do? Hold on a second. We have a Minnesota win. I didn't bet them, by the way. That's why they won. I refuse to take them. It's weird. It's weird how screwed up my picks. It's like if I say stay away, I said in the video, stay away from Minnesota, stay away from Milwaukee. Minnesota comes back to win. Milwaukee puts up 18 runs. There's the only things I was like disagreeing with the algorithm on. Hilarious.
I missed that when you said stay away from Minnesota. Why?
I think I said I stayed away from Minnesota, but I didn't give a reason because I'm an idiot. I build this thing because I'm an idiot. That's why it's the best. If you guys want to know the secret of why it's the best, it's because I make every mistake imaginable. So I programmed something to correct all my mistakes is what I did. And that's why it is the best. Because nobody makes more mistakes than me. Yeah, that's looking a lot better now. Now I can't remember what the actually I can remember because it's in the Google Sheet. The actual Google Sheet loses with Washington, loses with St. Louis. Those are still big losses, but Atlanta crushes it. Toronto wins. The Mets win, but don't cover. Kansas City, Detroit was a crap game anyway. Arizona's winning at the only underdogs winning today. Minnesota comes back to not score as many as they should, but they still win. And then Houston is crushing LA, and it was weird. It's the margin still favors LA, or did favor LA there. That's ridiculous. That's the other thing I wanted to fix is what on earth is happening here? Why are you favoring the Angels over Houston algorithm? I think everybody looked at that and was like, the algorithm screwed up. What happened? That should not be. Houston is unbelievably good right now and has been so the score even said Houston wins, but the margin doesn't. What? It's because Lorenzen's winning percentage and the lineup. Okay, so this is this is actually why I recorded the video. I forgot. This was the whole reason. I was like, what on earth is going on with Houston's lineup factor? I was like, this team's playing great. I guess they're not hitting a ton, but they're playing great and winning games. So I said, oh, well, here's a great exercise we can do is I can go into the batter's pivot and I can sort this by team. And I can look at just Houston for a second. And I can do contribution scores descending for a second and just look at Houston. So what I want to see is Houston is like, well, what's going on? Like, these are the players that were ordered today. I know you can't see this, but they're up here and they have percentages, and they also have colors related to different categories of stats that they have. And I wanted to see if I was like counting, like where are the Houston players good, and am I not recording their percentages properly? Because I also noticed that the lineup factors were too low for my liking. They used to be all up in the 3s and 4s instead of 2 point something and 3 point something. So whatever I did has lowered lineup factor summation and contribution score. And I think it's too much. I think I need to streamline this out better. So that's kind of what I wanted to spend the time on. It's too complicated to really come up with an answer in this video because I have to go through all these. And I also want to compare, like, where are Houston people in this list of contribution scores? Meaning if we highlight the word Houston and make it pink, right? I'm saying like, all right, well, when we sort everybody by our contribution scores, where are the Houston people and why are they there? And would they be higher up if we were looking at a different stat, right? Meaning like just for the top person, Yordan Alvarez is apparently incredible. He's super green on like home runs, hits, doubles, triples, homers, RBIs, just not stolen bases. He's looking really, really good. So he's incredible. Kyle Tucker also good. But like, yeah, what's going on with other Houston people and which stats could I mess with to make their lineup be more reflective of a better lineup and not just a 2.8 or whatever they were? Because that seems to be the reason why Houston's not being favored in that game. Where is that? Where'd it go? It's down here. their crazy lineup factor 2.8, it doesn't make sense. So that's something I wanted to look into, because that clearly needs to be addressed. And I think when I address that and I get their lineup factor better than the Angels lineup factor, here's the other way to look at that. So I know I'm doing a lot of video stuff, Katrina, you can't follow, but the Angels are really, really highly ranked for stats and stuff. So what is that all about? Like, what, the Angels suck. They lost like 15 games in a row this year or something. They blow, even though they got a new manager. So what happens here? The answer is, well, Trout, Ward, and Walsh, like they're really skewed to these people. So I think I'm weighting home runs too much. That's probably going on. That's probably true. Why should I weight home runs so much? I think that's part of it.
Maybe because whoever is in the other bases, they all make their run to clear the bases are loaded. I don't know. That might say something.
No, I'm weighting runs too much as a personal decision. Like I didn't have Wolfie program a macro to do the samples of all this. I'm doing this by hand. I'm trying to figure out like how much this matters in terms of like the outcome of the game and how offensive the team is going to be. Do their home runs matter more, or does their batting average matter more? Does their on base percentage matter more? I really have to mess around with this. This is the kind of work that ends up happening. Maybe on base percentage goes up. Runs, hits, homers, RBIs, stolen bases. Caught stealing I have is -12. That seems weird. Let's make that -5. Walks. Walks. Sorry, what's that?
Matter for player.
It does. Well, I'm changing around my distribution a little bit right now, and then I'm going back to look at what happened with, for example, I was able to lower the Angels lineup a little bit, but I wasn't able to raise Houston's lineup at all in what I just did. And I mean, to be completely extreme, like let's just wipe out everything and let's only care about batting average or something. That would make Houston, LA, that would really lower things, but it would make it closer. So it's like Houston's batting average is actually not as good as LA's. Well, I don't understand that. I need to dig into the stats, honestly. I need to like dig through this and find out relationships of what's going on. You can kind of see it by color, but it's difficult to map this directly to each category. It's, I mean, I can't imagine you're listening to this, not even watching what I'm showing, but it's just like, it really requires freaking effort. So I'll just do that at some point, but that's something that clearly needs to be addressed. I got them up to 2.9 actually. Whatever.
Why are some of your key powers negative?
Say again?
Why are some of your key powers negative?
Why are some of my team powers negative?
Yeah.
It depends on it depends on the distribution. None of them are negative now, but if I have just a negative stat, like a negative stat is one where the higher the number it is, the worse it is. So like ERA is a negative stat. If you have a high ERA, that's bad. Okay, so when there are negative stats, that affects the team power in a negative way. But there are also positive stats that affect the team power in a positive way. So that's why there has to be a balance between the variables here. This is actually, I don't even know if this probably isn't even a branch of statistics because it's too weird. Like statistics requires you to have uniformity in your variables. We actually have variables that are cross-referenced with one another and actually affect things like projected score based on the balance of how much of each variable we use. So in terms of this being a statistical method, it breaks a lot of rules about how you operate with your variables. And I just do it because whatever, I'm just building a mosaic of what the game should be with its variables. So I don't care if I'm breaking all rules. I'm just like, well, I want to do something with this, but that's the same reason why I can't come up with a easy distribution about what's the best, because I can't run this through a natural regression model very easily. I have to write my own code to do that or have somebody help me. So all that being said, like, yeah, it's crazy. A lot of stuff. Mhm. Anyway, well, at least Minnesota won. So you might win a parlay. And
Maybe.
the day, I mean, this is pretty nuts, but yeah, Boston loses. But it looks like at the end of the day, you could have 5 of the top 6, but I don't think it looked like that earlier in the day. Let's look at the Google Sheet just to know. So there's no quick way to look at this Google Sheet. I guess I could pivot table it for everybody. Hey, let's do that really quick, because that'd be awesome for everybody who's watching at home. So if you grab all this and you insert pivot table, right? Yep, it's your pivot table. We grab the proper range. We're going to put it in a new sheet. What I wanted to do here is I wanted to say we need to find out what the top picks were and whether or not they won or lost. So we can grab pick rank, which is a choice under row labels. And the team that the pick was is another thing we can add. We're not going to show totals. We're going to take team under the pick rank, and we're not going to show totals there. And we are going to say win or loss, right? That's, we have outcome, don't we? There's a final score. There's win by margin is an option. Put that down there. No subtotals. And what happened to team? We lost team. We'll get it back. Put team right there. So yeah, so what went into the Google Sheet is essentially what people could have acted on as the games, as you were making wagers before they started. Had a Dodgers game that's not over yet, but Dodgers were winning. Atlanta winning, St. Louis losing, Minnesota winning, Milwaukee winning, Seattle playing right now. Washington loses down at 7. So you could have had a fairly good day, but not a perfect day, which is, so this is not one of those 5 days where the thing does awesome. This is a mediocre day. And playing 3 teams or less probably could have had you put a string of those together, it seems like. Yeah. I'll add this pivot table and connect it to each day so that we can look at this in the Google Sheet in the pivot table view. It's a good idea. You'll see if you look at the Google Sheet what I just did in this video. All right, so you got anything else for anyone? It's a long video, but for those that want to make this a hobby that you certainly can work harder at, you can take my file and make it better. Like you totally have the ability to do that with what's here. All right. Well, I am going to get on the road. Looks like a week and a half from now, I think, to start my trip. I'm gonna be rollerblading across the USA. I'm actually thinking of doing that in cities. I'm going to take out my rollerblades and I'm going to take out a camera and I'm going to do. I'm really liking what these people on YouTube are doing, like driving around their cars and just like going to different areas of the country and talking about it. It's very watchable. And I was thinking, well, I could do it on my rollerblades because I'm like good enough on rollerblades that I can rollerblade on anything. I will fall; it'll happen, but that's okay. But because people ask me to do tricks and stuff when they see me like doing backwards crossovers flying down the street on rollerblades because it's not something people do anymore. Like I had kids that were like hollering at me, like, do tricks. I'm like, if I do tricks, it would break bones. I was like, but anyway, I wanted to do that because I thought it's fun to get some video of these places and rather than just do it in my car like other people, I do it on my rollerblades because you can see different places and go down paths. It looks pretty cool when I'm flying down a path. It's fun. I need like a GoPro or something. So it's an idea. It's an idea.
I have bad memories doing that, but
what's that?
I have bad memories doing that, trying to rollerblade, fly down.
You were rollerblading? You had a pair of
completely wiped out.
Yeah. Wow. I wiped out a month and a half ago, and yeah, it was like a car accident. Like I didn't hit a car, I hit the ground, but yeah, like ribs, bruise, cuts, like we're talking weeks, but it got better. Whatever. Not young anymore. It's not like when I was. Although I remember hitting myself and being sick or injured for weeks, even as a youth, obviously all the time. All right. Well, that's like I said, super long video. So I'll be back at it again tomorrow. Tomorrow's Saturday. I was gonna do, I will have predictions. I'm sure there are early games. Oh, yeah, oh yeah, there's 12 o'clocks, there's 2 o'clocks, 4 o'clock, yeah. It's an early day, so tomorrow, tomorrow I'll be able to do it though, actually. I say that now, but yeah, I'll be able to do Saturday morning round robin video. Let's see how it goes. All right, okay,
All right.
cool. All right, I will talk to you later, I guess.
Okay.
All right, see you. Good luck, everyone. May all your picks be winning.